Hey, so this video is going to be a line-by-line breakdown of how the feather script actually looks and how it works for the simple image classification model. Now, if we take a look at our file directory on the left here, we have two main files. We have the ftr.py and the main.py. Now, the main.py contains that's what contains the actual model and is responsible for the image transformation, actually running the model, collating the outputs, and returning them back to us. I'll open the file up in a minute. Let's talk about how the feather script is actually working. Now, the first thing to note is that we have a special function, a special init function. And this is the first function that will be actually run. So here we've called our function init. It doesn't matter what you call the function here. We have the init parameter though, so you just need to pass the actual function name to this parameter. So this special init function is responsible for displaying the components on the first step. Okay, so all we want is a file upload component, and let's take a look at the let's run the script, and we can actually see how the code maps to the visual interface. So this is the file upload component. We have the title, upload files for image classification, which were passed in here, and also we're only accepting image files. Okay, now we return the component. Return of one function creates the input to the next function, okay? This means that init will never take arguments. Anything that we want to initialize and pass down to the next functions will be part of the return of init, okay? So the return of init will be the inputs to the next function. So here we have our run image classification function, and we receive the uploader. Now, the shape of our files are going to be a list of objects or dictionaries. Now, each dictionary will have a name, which will be the file name, which has been uploaded, and also the data. Now, since we've passed the format to equal images to this uploader.get, Feather itself will convert the images into a NumPy array, okay? And what we want to do is we just want to get the exact image data. We don't really care about the file names of the images for actually running the models. We just care about the actual NumPy arrays, for example. Okay, so we just do a list comprehension over the list of images that we've got. We pass it into run model. Let's just take a real look at this real quick. So we're just going to be using Torch Vision's ResNet that it provides out of the box for this, which the import is here. And we have our transformations. So this is just obviously shaping the inputs up to be sent to the model. We load the model, and we also have the ImageNet classes, but we have our run model function here. Now, our function takes in images. There's a batch of images that have been provided by the UI. These three lines will transform the image, create them into a tensor, and actually pass them to the model. This is what line 20 does here. The rest of the lines will just aggregate the outputs and return them back to us, which is line 25 here. Now, with these classifications, we pass them into another component. We say, hey, look, we have images, and we want, with this view component, we want the text for each image to be the classification that our ResNet model has given us. And then finally, we return the component. And because this is the last function that we have, this is the last step that will be on our feather script, or our visual interface, rather. So we'll take a look at the bundle in a second, but let me just run through what we've covered so far as part of this build method. So we provide this is like a global name, basically. Any model associated with your user account, which has the same name, will be updated with the latest version that you publish. So currently, there's an already live version of the simple image classification under my user. And if I was to change the script or update the model weights, for example, if I use the same name, when people visit the /simple image classification URL, they'll be working with the latest version of the model. And then finally, not finally, but we have a description which will be shown on the marketplace or on the /mymodels page. We have the init function, which we've covered already. And finally, we have steps. Now, steps is a list of functions. Every function apart from the first init function. Here, we only have one function that we're actually running, which is the run image classification function, and that's what we pass in. Now, finally, Feather needs to know what files are actually required to run the model. In our case, we need __file, which is basically the Feather script itself, main.py, which contains the execution of the model, and ImageNet classes, which will hold the labeled information for the classes. So just take a quick look. It's just the list of the classes. We just pass this to the file bundle method, and then we run through. Just upload the goldfish one again. And we follow the steps to publish the model, find your API key, publish the model, and that's it. You're done.